We'll call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Harrison County Board of Education for December 1st, 2020. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Ryan Lee.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Ryan. Brings us up to, we have no special recognitions or presentations, delegations next, and we have 3 delegations. And just a reminder that each delegation has 5 minutes to speak. First up, Max Carteret.
Got it. I appreciate you giving me time again to speak. I just really am here today to ask for the board to consider putting on the agenda a vote to have kids back in school. I do believe things are changing, especially for K through 5 predominantly. I'm sure you saw in the news today that Mayor de Blasio in New York City had actually encouraged for kids to go back to school, which was a pretty big landmark decision in what's going on right now. I have I'm not to get this personal, but I question us as a society when bars are allowed to be open, but schools are not allowed to be open for the education of our children, especially for kids who need in-school learning, especially for elementary age kids. If you want me to be personal, I will for a second. My father was a quadriplegic because of a drunk driving accident from when I was 1 until I was 15 years old. So it does bother me that bars are open and we can say that bars are not going to spread coronavirus, but that schools are going to spread it. And I'm asking you to make an executive decision to get kids back in school. We are letting our children down right now, and it is becoming a serious issue in my opinion. It bothers me when we have this executive order of the West Virginia comeback about how to reopen schools, or how to reopen bars and restaurants. I'm all for businesses being open, don't get me wrong, okay? And people should have those decisions. But the fact that bars are allowed to be open in Harrison County, and you're gonna tell me that coronavirus isn't gonna spread in a bar, but we can't go to school to teach our children? And I'm one of the lucky ones because I can teach my child. And now I've made a choice on my own to pull one of my children out of Harrison County Public Schools to make sure that they get in-school education. I'm able to make that decision. So today I'm being a voice for those people who cannot do that, who are not able to do that. You know, this is, it is getting to me, and it's getting to a lot of parents. We've tried to have a petition started to actually show you that there are parents that want this to happen. And I understand the West Virginia Education Association union rep called me on the phone, and he got a little demonstrative with me, to be honest. I understand that's his job. He said, my job is to represent my members. I said, your job is also to make sure that we close the student achievement gap in this state, okay? And we are failing our children by what is going on right now. We talk about screen time. How about when you have 2 kids and one kid has to be on the screen doing school? What do you think the other kid's doing? Something on screen time because mom has to teach the other child, okay? Screen time is an issue. Used to be get on the internet to get away from it. Now you gotta get back out in nature to get away from the internet, okay? This is really an issue. Fauci even came out today and said that kids need to get back in school. This needs to be on the agenda every single time because it is imperative. I understand that the health department has a job to recommend if schools should be open or closed. And the key word is recommended. We have to say what is more important, okay? The education of our children, all right? Or do we tiptoe around what the union leaders want us to do, okay? There has to be, draw a line in the sand and let people make a choice if they want to send their kids back to school. You have the choice to stay home. That is your choice. So I just plead with you, okay? as a member of this county with 2 children, now 1, in Harrison County Schools. Okay? I did leave 1 child in because he is able to keep up with it. But my other child needs in-school education. And I ask for you to understand where we are coming from as parents. And maybe on the agenda, there should be parent representation every time. Because teachers get representation, and I was a former West Virginia teacher. So I understand. I truly do. Okay? I get it. But we have to make a rash decision, because this is going to affect us 10 years from now, and we're not realizing the issue. So I appreciate your time, and I look forward to comments at the end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Renee McLean.
My name is Renee McLean. I'm the AFT Harrison president, a parent of 2 high school children, and a middle school teacher. When I first started teaching 15 years ago, veteran teachers would talk about the number of years they had to substitute before they were hired as full-time teachers. My mother was in this category. She had 5 children at home, so she needed full-time work. She was considering career change, but then got a full-time position. Teaching positions were coveted then. Teachers were respected professionals. I only had to substitute 1 year. Today, we have to have programs like the teacher in residence because we do not have enough teachers or substitute teachers. The substitutes we have are mainly retired teachers, and they usually take on the long-term positions. So why am I telling you all this? After the last board meeting, I felt discouraged, insulted, disrespected, and I had the feeling that what I was doing for my students wasn't good enough. One of your jobs as elected board members is to make Harrison County Schools attractive to highly qualified teachers. The last board meeting did not do that. No one asked for a pandemic. No one wants to teach or learn this way. No one wants to wear a mask. No one wants restrictions. No one wants sports and band activities to be canceled. No one wants to live this way. The bottom line is that we have to make the best of the situation and get through it. Making our teachers feel like their best isn't good enough does not do that. We need to be lifting our teachers up and praising them for the work they are doing. We need to let them know that their hard work they are doing for their students is noted and appreciated. Criticizing the work they are doing is not effective. If there are issues with a certain teacher, go to her or him and work it out. Don't lump all the teachers in the same category. We have teachers leaving the profession all the time with no one to replace them. I am not saying that the ideas presented at the last board meeting are wrong, because guess what? That is what I do in my classroom. I make teaching videos for my students, along with written notes for students whose Wi-Fi doesn't let them stream videos. I have Teams meeting with students every week, and this week they will be conducted daily. Most teachers are doing this as well. We make paper packets for those that need them. We make phone calls. We help with the food distribution, and we answer all the questions. Praise teachers for their hard work. Make sure they know that what they're doing is good enough. We should be encouraging parents to contact their child's teacher first if they have an issue. Most of the time, it can be worked out. I know it's hard, but we all need to work together. Teachers are not in the homes of their students. We cannot force them to do the work. Is it fair to blame the teachers for that? We are doing everything in our power to help our students. Most parents work all day, and the last thing they want to do is go home and help with schoolwork. I get that. Well, most teachers are parents too. I work all day and then go home and make sure my freshman and my senior have done their work. Do you know how hard it is to get a senior motivated? I do. Our students are learning. We cannot go at the pace that we want, but they're learning. They're also learning valuable life skills. They're learning to cope and adapt to unexpected changes. They're learning to be flexible. They're learning responsibility and time management. They're learning the importance of deadlines. They're learning about being kind, caring, and compassionate. These life skills are more important than anything else they will learn this year. All of this is hard on everyone. I don't envy your positions at all. And up until the last board meeting, I felt like the Harrison County Board of Education members and the teachers were close to being on the same page. More than once, I've had to talk myself out of leaving this profession. That thought should never cross my mind. I love my students and I love teaching, but I need to feel like what I'm doing is worth it. To my students, I think it is, but to the rest of the world, is it? I want to be able to look into the eyes of a student considering the teaching profession and tell them that they're worth it, that they will be respected, that their hard work is appreciated. But can I? And as a side note, I've had 4 Teams meetings in the last 2 days, and I've had 3 students show up. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan Dean.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Deems, and I am the president of the Harrison County Education Association and a middle school teacher myself. First, I'd like to thank you for putting me on the spot to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Good thing we say that every day at Mountaineer, because might not have known it otherwise. I would like to start with an apology. I'm sorry to the Board of Education that you have been put in the position that you are in. And as our first speaker said, it is insane that bars are allowed to be open and schools are not allowed to be open. Now, we see things differently, but the fact that the governor is closing schools and not closing bars just doesn't fly. But that is not our decision. Leadership from the top federal and state level have abdicated their position to lead on this, and they've left it to us to fight it out because it is a hairy topic, it is not popular, and it is tough, and it takes real leadership. And they have decided to just pass it on us. So here we are, slugging it out again since, July. So I don't envy you. The goal of the Harrison County Education Association is to provide students with the best education possible. And we believe that that happens when they are given skilled professional teachers who are able to work in good environments. They say to raise a child, it takes a village. It is the same thing in education. Whether it be the classroom teacher, the classroom aide, the custodian, the cook, the bus driver, the principal, the county office employees, or the board members. All of us have to be on the same page. Communication is key. Teachers feel ignored. I've had countless stories of people who said, I sent an email and I didn't hear anything back. And when you ignore your teachers, when you ignore someone, they just go away from you. And like Renee said earlier, I've had countless conversations with people who said they want to leave the profession. I've looked for other jobs. We are headed to a teacher shortage crisis that we've never seen before. At the beginning of the year, we had 800 openings across the state. It's going to be exponentially worse by the time this pandemic is over. I would encourage any board member who wants to talk, wants to know what's going on in the schools, talk to a teacher directly. I will give anyone my contact information. My phone is open. You can reach out to me and we will talk. You can come to my school. You can come to my classroom and we will show you what is happening. Teaching is hard in the best of circumstances, and we are far from it right now. In the last meeting, we talked about educational videos. Those are hard to create. It takes time and training. I have a master's degree in educational technology. This is what I trained to do. I struggle with it. It takes time. We're asking people who don't have that expertise, who don't have expertise with technology to do it. We need training and we need time. We can't just be expected to show up and have these wonderful, engaging lessons without training and time. I have immense respect for each board member here tonight for serving the community. You are elected and your words are listened to. I understand that, or I hope that you understand that when you speak, your words are open for criticism. And I hope you don't take it personally, but as an elected official, this is what you have signed up for. You have not signed up for mean taunts or people to threaten your livelihoods, but you have signed up to accept criticism. I hope to continue to work with the board members and bridge the information gap. As we move towards the levy election, I hope that all of the board members will be speaking to the community in a positive way about all the good the levy does for all our schools and our communities. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Moves us down to superintendent's update.
Yeah, Mr. President, I really.
I have one?
Oh,
Hold on.
there's another.
Only had three. Oh, here it is, sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry.
Holly Trader. Sorry about that. It was actually the first one, and you should have got to go first.
Thank you, Mr. Hamrick, Mr. Devon, board members, and guests for allowing me to speak tonight. As a parent, this is
Hold on.
really hard.
She gets to speak.
As a parent, this is really hard to help teach my child. But I'm not alone in this. The teachers are awesome. They do not get the credit that they deserve. They really don't. My daughter goes to Norwood. She's a 4th grade student. Every teacher, not just teacher, staff member, custodian, cooks, the bus drivers, librarian, counselors, they have all went above and beyond the call of duty to help out with this. When they teach, now they can't really do that. Everything that they have been taught to do, have learned to do, that has always been done, have been tossed out the window. When this pandemic came, there's not a textbook written. There's not a website that will tell us how to do this. No one. This is all new to every one of us. We're learning. And just like tomatoes, I don't like tomatoes, but we plant them. If we don't stake them up and prune them, they die. We have to support our teachers. We have to be strong for them. We have to let them know, hey, you guys are doing an awesome job. And just stay strong. And I have a couple sayings I would like to read. What makes a good teacher? Teachers are strong communicators. They listen well. They focus on collaboration. They're adaptable. They have to be. They're engaging. They show empathy. And they have patience. Something we all probably need. And I appreciate it. And I have one more to say. This is not just for teachers. This is for all staff members. It takes a special person to teach a child in class, to just keep their attention in a world that moves so fast. To show just one child that they are unique with talents deep inside, to help build his confidence so he can beam with pride. To show a little patience for a child who's lost their way, to a child who feels abandoned where he has seen their better days. To inspire and to motivate so a child can learn and grow to go into this big, wide world that has its highs and lows. They are a special person. They always give their best, and for every child who has their class, their life is truly blessed. Now, we don't know what the future will bring for this educational systems, but we do know that teachers and all staff members play a very, very important role, just like I, as a mom, in my daughter's life. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us down to item 5, superintendent's update.
Yeah, Mr. President, I only have one item, and it was a facilities update from Mr. Lopez about our building projects. We are making some headway at Lost Creek.
Yes, we're making some good headway. We have actually a meeting on Thursday, and it's a progress meeting. But they've been able to do some work on the inside of the facility now, and kind of making a plan where they can have to move some classrooms around within the building to some of the existing things that's going to be used. So hopefully they can start tying the building together within about a 2-month period. So it's going along extremely well.
How far along? I haven't been out there. We have floaters or?
Oh, yeah, footers are in, and the storm drain, which that was a big hurdle, and some of the utilities have been moved. So it's going really well since it finally got started.
And it's because I get confused, we have two projects going. Is this an insulated concrete form, or is it block?
No, it's block.
Okay.
It's block, yeah. But the helical, the big thing was the foundation.
Right.
Because
It
it
should
was
go
so
fairly
much
quick.
field. But that, we gutted that early. So, but, you know, so Thursday we'll be able to find out a little bit more information. We're trying to get a little better construction planning going so that we know 2 to 3 months out what stages they're going to be in. But they've been held up a little bit because of subcontractors. So, but other than that, that part of it's going well, and we're waiting to put the project out for bid for the Door Elementary project. So,
How long before that goes up?
well, I hope before the end of next week, as Tom is still working with the SBA to overcome some of the things that they want to see in the construction documents. So hopefully we will, at the very latest in January.
I think he initially said the second week of December. So we're
Well, Tom
approaching
did,
that. Yeah,
but-
Tom did.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's what we're hoping
Yeah.
by the end of, but I'm thinking it may end up with the holidays and everything, it may end up in January.
And quite honestly, with bid documents and things of that nature, rely on a lot of government involvement. And it's kind of hard during the pandemic. Some government agencies aren't full staff. You know, imagine if you had to go to the DMV for something right now, it's going to be delayed. So
Even
I'm
the
worried about that with.
Even the SBA is not.
Right, they're not in there full, so you may not get an answer back as quickly as you normally would. You know, there may be things that you need from the state tax department, you know, and bid bonds and things like that, that you may not get as quickly. So unfortunately, it's where we are.
Yeah.
The pandemic.
No, I have nothing else on this superintendent's review.
Can I just ask you about, like, I know Mr. Dean had talked about, like, the teacher training with the videos. I know this pandemic, we've gone on for a while now. I would just like an update on what training the teachers have got on doing the online training, meaning on the online teaching, and then also an update on the camera system for the virtual. And I know we had brought up the last meeting on, you talked to principals and about the staff with more virtual.
Yes, I actually had a conversation yesterday, a long conversation with Mr. Poole. And that's one of the things that I did bring up to him, is about what trainings have the teachers had? How long ago has it been? I understand that the middle school and high school had trainings on Schoology when it first rolled out. And had been a while. So we did talk about that. And I asked him to offer additional trainings and I know it was a learning curve for elementary, because elementary had not used that platform. So we did have a long conversation yesterday. So he was going to go back and look to see when those trainings were. And then I also asked him to speak with our teachers to find out what they need in their classrooms and what trainings they need, so we can get a better idea of what they need in their rooms. And make sure that they have the equipment that they need.
Is there videos that we can put out to help the teachers to learn how to do?
I believe there's a series of videos. They were posted really, I think in March, there was several things available for them. But as I said to him, now that teachers have used that and are into it more, they maybe, can look at that and use those videos more. You want to understand what they could use them more than they did back in the spring. And I did ask him to look at text visiting the schools, being visible in the schools, be available, just make sure to see what teachers need as far as technology, because our focus is teachers are working in those classrooms that we're expecting them to do remote and to do all these things with technology. Our focus needs to be in those classrooms and making sure that the things in those classrooms work. So we spoke for probably an hour and a half yesterday about those kind of items.
I know we talked about like building maintenance and we have enough workers. Do we have enough employees who are there to help with computer problems if we have shortages, or if we have computers messing up, does our IT department have enough people to meet the needs that's happening right now? That's something.
I mean, Todd, you can speak to that. He's not said to me, I think you've said before that we're well-staffed in that department. I think it's just getting them where they need to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe we're in a good space, a good place. You know, our technicians, I require them to check in with the building principals. And then every now and then I follow up, make sure they're doing that. You know, because it's easy to slip in and slip out and get things done. One of our challenges is not to just respond to work orders. We are to see what other issues are going on in the building. So we are in, you know, in the buildings. They have to visit at least once a week, but usually it's twice a week for most. And then we have what I call a couple of guys that are kind of runners, and they kind of put out fires around the county. A lot of times it's just communications. You know, it's just we find out things and we didn't even know. So once we do know, we can vote out real quick, but we have to know. I always say I don't have a crystal ball on my desk. You know, so if we know that there's an issue, we'll run the fire.
Do our computers all have cameras, or do
Yes.
what's the situation with the cameras?
Yeah, they all have cameras. You know, we run a few counties and we give everybody a laptop and an iPad too, so you've got, you know, 2 opportunities to use a camera. So there shouldn't be any issues there. You're always going to have problems, of course. You know, it's a big system, but I think we've got the best staff in the state when it comes to technology. I really do. And I speak with, you know, the big counties and the little counties. You know, Harrison County's always the envy. We really are. And we have good resources, we have good support, and we have a good support system. And you know, we've worked hard on that over the years. 5, 6, 7 years ago, we didn't have the tools in place that we have today. We didn't have the communication from the teacher level that we do today. The teacher couldn't put a work order in when I first took over this. They had to go through a whole channel of paper forms, and those paper forms would get put on the bottom of somebody's desk, and you know, that's not a knock on anybody, but that's what happens, you know, and next thing you know, that's been put by the wayside. We don't work like that anymore. We have a work order system, we have the help desk, we talked about that before, which is an important, critical component of what we do. I mean, everything that I envision for this county is a university level environment. That's what we do, and I see it like that. So I pattern myself and everything that we do after a university level environment. So that's why when we look at installing things, we look to the university. I have contacts at the university, and we'll visit there, and they'll show us different things that they're doing and how it works, and we model after that. And that's important because they're our leaders in this state. So, but staffing wise, I think we're in good shape. I really do.
The cameras that follow you around, what's the status on that?
They're in shipment, so we should have those, I think, this week.
Okay.
We'll be able to.
And then, is there any training set up to teach the teachers on that? And, you know, I mean, we've heard we don't have the tools or we don't have the training, so I just want to make sure they have the tools and the training, and there's videos they can watch, or there's people that come out there and do like almost like a school assembly type thing where they get everyone log on, but even virtually, you know, everyone log on, we're going to do simulated stuff, and they all do, the whole school would virtually do a training together. I mean, I think
That actually comes with the purchase, so we've got a plan that comes with it, so teachers will log in.
Okay.
Learn how to use that. It's very simple.
Okay.
So it's very simple.
And
You
would
know,
it
a
be
lot of
through
the stuff
Schoology or
is-
Teams, or
Say again?
would it be through Schoology or Teams, or?
Either one.
Either one.
Either one. I mean, they can use any kind of recording device, you know, with this. So it doesn't really matter whether it's a Teams or Schoology or just a recorder on computer. It doesn't necessarily matter. You can record a video, you can do it live, whatever.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say, after our conversation yesterday, he was very receptive to the needs that we're seeing, and our focus is going to be in the classrooms and what the teachers are needing in their classrooms. So I appreciate that, Todd. So we'll be We even talked about doing some type of, how to reach the teachers to get a good idea of what they really are wanting or needing in the classroom. So we talked about some ideas on how to get that feedback as well. So.
I have a question. I've been looking at this a lot differently, almost like 4 to 5 levels. First, we have the actual hardware that is a crucial element, meaning, up-to-date computers. I've spoken with teachers that have told me that their computers are 12 years old. And they can't possibly be working on platforms with newer software with 12-year-old computers. So I look at it, first level, your hardware. Next level, I look at it as the networking and what's going on and in and out of each school and how efficient that is. Number 3, I then look at the software programs themselves in these different platforms. And I will be very honest, I don't know why there is so many. And I don't think there should be so many, but that's just my personal idea right there. But the most crucial and important to me is the delivery. Meaning, now we have all the elements in place, and where does it fall in our Board of Education to make sure the teachers are doing the same thing and the students, so who brings this together, IT or curriculum? I mean, you put all the places and stuff, but I just kind of see this gray area that I'm not sure who's taking care of, making sure the teachers are, getting everything they want, like we said, and so there's a common delivery of all these elements we just put together, and whose responsibility it is. Like, is it IT, is it curriculum? I mean, where is this training? Where is this area? Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, we have all the steps there, we have the teachers, but I just see this one little place right there that I'm not sure where the responsibility falls for the delivery of everything we do to our teachers.
Well, I think once the teachers make sure that they have everything that they need, it's our job to make sure that they have everything that they need in their classrooms and it's all working well when they need it to work. And you have to, at some point, teachers have their curriculum that they currently have. They need to work in, and I know the middle schools and the elementary schools are working on like grade levels to determine the curriculum, but teachers are going to deliver things a little differently because that's just the way they teach in a regular classroom. They all have different styles, but the platforms can be similar. You know what I mean? And I know they're working together to get the platforms similar.
So all of our teachers were trained, is what I'm saying, for each of the platforms and how to actually use it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we
And that's
did
Schoology,
extensive training
yeah.
on Schoology. We got a significant investment in that program with training. We built that in. We had multiple trainings here at the buildings. We had train-the-trainer models. We brought Schoology in to take everybody through there, and then we had teacher leaders at our buildings. Now, the elementary didn't get that quite as much because the focus was different, and we weren't really gearing them towards Schoology environment. Most of the teachers in elementary probably didn't know that they even had access to Schoology until March 13th. And then we did some, when we went into this, we did some heavy training. We had, 100, 200 teachers a day joining us online to do training. So we did a lot.
So Todd, right there, I mean, I'm going to take this a little step farther, and I understand we're providing this, but see what has happened with our teachers. And then honestly, I mean, it's like meeting after meeting, we have people coming in saying the teachers aren't teaching this and that. It's not the Board of Education. But this is what we're hearing. And I went out on my own, meeting with teachers and meeting with parents, and to be quite honestly, that's not the picture. Our teachers are doing everything we've discussed here, but yet for some reason, it's never been told to me or in an open platform how much our teachers are actually doing and how they're doing with virtual teaching and the teams and all that. And I was absolutely amazed that we continue meeting after meeting discussing this when our teachers are already doing it. My issue is, what about the teachers that aren't? Who's catching that? And who's taking care of that aspect? It's making all of our other teachers seem like they aren't doing anything. Is it the principal catching it? I mean, I don't
It should
know,
be.
because I don't think it's fair to our teachers. If someone's, if you're saying all the training's there, but yet these students aren't communicating with the teachers, this and that, it's not our teachers. I have found out it's only a few. And I'm wondering how that's caught,
Isn't that always the case? I mean, that's kind of
but
life.
they're not during a crucial time like now.
That's life. I mean, that.
Well, true, but not at a crucial time like now. I mean, this is something that I'm
If you always
wondering
know
who's
that there's a
catching.
couple people that are
But-
lagging behind.
And what can parents do?
I think,
in that
well, I think the first thing, if a parent's having issues, is they would call the school and talk with the teacher first, and then you would go to the administrator, if you're not seeing satisfaction from that. But Renee spoke about that. The
And I
schools,
agree with her.
yeah, the schools where there are weaknesses or whatever, or a teacher needs support, maybe they just need additional support. That really would be, a school administrator should be finding that and working with that and getting that support to that person. They really should know if the technology in their building's working and what's going on in their building, and getting that to somebody here so that we know. And
So
like I
now
said,
you
it's
know
almost
the
like a
gray
sweep, yeah, it's all,
Now you know the gray area I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I know.
When I'm talking about the delivery, this is what I'm talking about, where the ball is dropping and shouldn't be. And so you're saying, and I'm saying a lot of these questions on purpose so that people know. And so after talking with teachers and parents, I think we need to put something out there that says, and here's where we need our media specialists, especially right now. If this is not happening, call your
Call.
teacher, not your principal, call your teacher. If the teacher doesn't change, then you call your principal. Am I correct on that?
that's right.
And I think that is happening, I talk to teachers all the time, and I
But can
think,
we make sure of that?
I mean, we can
Can we do
make it available.
I would love if we could do a couple surveys. One, surveys for the teachers, if they don't have what they need, we make sure they have something out there, what they would like to see. And then I like a survey from the-
That was something that he was directed to do.
Something
Yeah.
from also from the parents and from the students. One, here's where, let's see where is the gray areas. And then, I think having those surveys out there, we'll get some honest feedback from everybody.
Aside from the survey, if I can ask you, Todd, we should have a you should have a fairly large database of our inventory, correct? You should be able to tell where every computer is, who it belongs to.
Yeah, that's right.
So can you get us a list, by the next meeting, of every device we have out there, ranked by the year that it was, and if you could break out a cost, meaning if we've got a 14-year-old computer, to replace all of those will cost us X amount. If we want to go up to the ones that are, we need to be within the last 2 or 3 years, so.
I would question, where that came from, as far as, especially.
Well, if it is what it is, so if you send us the list, it's going to be that way. And if we look and see that because what we need to do fairly quickly is make sure those are replaced up to where we can afford to replace them. And then even if we have to take some out of, other places this budget year and then, out of the next, but those need to be replaced. I mean, we need to be fairly.
It's absolutely essential that our teachers have equipment that can do what they're being required to do at this point. See, I'll be honest, now that I look back on everything and we talked about these cameras, and I said it about the last 2 meetings, why are we getting these cameras? Our computers can already do what it's doing, what
Just
cameras
some
are
degree.
about. And then it came to mind after speaking to people, a lot of computers are so old, their cameras aren't even working. I would have had, and I know it's too late, but to me, I would have much rather have invested that money in making sure all of our teachers had top-notch equipment with the cameras already on their, which is.
Unfortunately, I guess with those cameras, it was a grant written specifically
I know,
for
I
those
know.
cameras, so I understand that. But
I know it was.
but we
It's
need to
unfortunate
upgrade
and I feel
computers.
bad. But that's something that when we come into a meeting, I think maybe I'm relying on you to tell me something like that next time, instead of us always wondering about cameras.
Well, we
and
can,
cameras.
what
You
I'm
know
saying is, our inventory, he should be
It's
able to print a
important.
button and we should see every device, and it's
Yeah.
gonna show when it was deployed, so we can look and say, hey, take these last 2-3 pages here
Okay.
and replace them, tell us how much that's gonna be, and we'll find the money where we need to find.
Yeah,
And we
exactly.
do this every year. I mean, we target.
But we need to step that up.
Yeah, we did, we need
Every
to
year.
step it up,
So,
You know, we'll have
especially
to-
the computers were never required to do what they're doing right now.
and I will say that, in that light, you know, the days of stationary labs, are going by the wayside. So we're happy to work with the principals to decide which labs they'd like to, you know, I know I talked to one of the principals
I'm
today.
sorry, I don't know what word you're saying.
Like a computer lab.
Lab.
Stationary, like.
And if that's what they're referring to, that would make sense. But in a lot of cases, the principals and the staffs have decided to remove those older labs for STEM labs or STEAM labs, because the stationary labs, because we have devices. And again, I question some of that because we have a whole round of devices that we've issued. Teachers have laptops, they have 2 devices that are available to them.
Now, if
So-
a teacher's computer does get down, do we automatically today, okay, your computer's down, we'll come here or whatever, here's your new one. We don't have, teachers don't have to wait for their computer to be fixed, I should hope not.
We try to avoid that, but we do get into cases where that happens. But then sometimes they'll have additional computers in buildings that they'll use while we're replacing the board or whatever. So I can't say that doesn't happen, but we try to not have that happen. And I try to preach that, but you know how it goes. You know, it's
If we can
not-
just get an inventory list of all devices, that should help, and then.
Hey, before we go on, something that was said, having been a former administrator, I think so many times we lose the fact is the teachers are all out there, you know, working, they work together, they collaborate together. And I think that if you have I don't want to say a weak teacher, but a teacher who maybe is struggling and it appears that, you know, they're not doing doing their job, or they're not asking for help or whatever. I think that teachers are a unit that police themselves very well. And as an administrator, if you have somebody that's not getting the job done, or need to do a better job, or need some help, it doesn't take long for it to get back to the principal. And then at that point, you know, you're able to communicate with that person that's maybe struggling, being able to offer them help, talking to their team of teachers that is willing to give them, you know, to work with them. And I think that's where a lot of it comes, you know, as a principal, like I said, it won't take long to get back to them, and they can usually correct the problem, because as a group of teachers, you know, they will normally say something. And they may not say nothing directly to the person, but they will eventually say to the principal, and you're able to usually correct those problems and offer them help and things that they need. So, you know, it don't fall on the principal. It usually, like I said, it falls on the team of teachers that usually will come and say, hey, let's help this person out. They're struggling here or there. Now, they may not want to admit that they're struggling, but, you know, if it's said enough times, then you know, it becomes pretty much gospel, and you're able to, as an administrator, say, hey, in a nice way, you're normally able to give them the help that they need to bring them up to the level of the rest of their team and their teachers. So, like I said, yeah, it falls a lot on the principal, but a lot of times, like I said, they don't catch everything that's going on, and the help comes from the team of teachers. Because that, knowing, like I said, having been an administrator for 10 years, trust me, there was a lot of times that, you know, would have no idea, and then all of a sudden, here comes some of your teachers and they let you know, and you're able to get that problem corrected. And then as a principal, you know, you want everybody to be successful, because there's some things that some do much better than others, but that person that's out there that's even struggling has some worth. They're, you know, they have some good qualities. They just need a little help getting them sharpened up and progressing forward. So I just, you know, I just think that we gotta, you know, we all
Well, I
gotta all work
didn't mean that
together.
they were working, what I'm saying is, you know, if this is happening, it seems to be what's being brought to our attention in the media and all over social media and into our boardrooms. And what I have found out is that is not the truth. The majority of our teachers are doing very, very, very well. And that's what I'm saying, that gray area, who catches the teacher, not that they're worthless in any way, but who catches that teacher to give them help? And that's what I'm trying to say, you know, who's doing this training, who's, you know, monitoring this.
Do teachers sign off that they've taken it, like
Yeah.
they've taken the training?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we document all the time.
And back to equipment again, and I hate to beat it, because I want to look and see what it is, and I just don't like this sometimes when we say, well, they've got a laptop and a iPad. That may not be what you may give a laptop and an iPad to someone that never uses one or the other. I would rather, you know, the teachers tell us what they want. They may want a better, you may have someone that's more computer literate that wants a little better of a laptop and not want the iPad. You know, I don't like to just say, here's your tools, and then you're saying go learn to use them. You know, and I've kind of belabored the point. I know is that I think in the school system, we spent too much time trying to force students into Apple because it's easier for techies. I mean, I know because you don't get viruses, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're giving apples to students who never can afford to have one at home and don't have one at home, where we may be better off to, and we may have teachers the same way. They may be better off to have a PC if that's, I just want to give them what they want, not say, here it is and you need to learn to use it. You know, I think if we want to use both platforms, that's fine, but I've always had a problem with, we're forcing Apple. One, it is a little bit more expensive, but two, most people don't, I mean, the majority of people don't have one at home and may never have one at
And it's
home.
not just gonna work.
Yeah, and workplace, most workplaces don't use them, so.
We do give them a choice.
That's what I mean, I just want to make sure that happens. But what I'm saying is, you know, I don't want to be like you just joined the Army, your boot camp,
Well-
here's your stuff. You know, they need to be able to say, look, I don't really use an iPad, you know, I'd rather have, you know, a better laptop, so that's my.
Yeah, well, the reason we made sure that the teachers all got an iPad is so they could be fluent and be able to assist their students, so they would know the device, you know, as they do the lessons or apps or whatever. So we did that for consistency, but we also provided them a laptop, you know, and gave them a choice. They get the choice whether they want a PC.
But I guess where I stand is I would rather, instead of spending money to give the newest to this amount of people, let's spread it out to where the oldest ones at least get something replaced soon.
The oldest computers?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, get them out of
And we
circulation.
do still reserve.
Because they're, you know,
Target that area.
if there truly are computers that are 12 years, 10, 12, even 8, they're doorstops.
Yeah, I want to look at that too, because again, we target certain computer labs for, you know, for reboot and
I'm worried about our instructors. Our instructors are at home and they're in school. And our teachers, not the labs, nothing, whatever our teacher has, what they're using as their tool has to be the best.
we refresh those, and we spend a decent amount on our teacher computers every year.
Another question that's come up to me by several teachers is, and I have to say it's only certain grades. The Apple iPad without a keyboard, that's very difficult for their students without keyboards. What can we do to help them with that?
Well, we have class sets that we're deploying to the schools. That was part of our purchase this summer, so a lot of the schools wanted that. Obviously, we didn't have the funding to be able to do one for every device, but that will help them once we get back into state testing and everything, so they'll be able to get their state testing done a lot faster. That's going to be a big bonus there. In the past, they've had to basically work that schedule around availability of devices, and now they'll be able to actually take, you know, 100, 200 kids at a time, you know, and schedule them to get their state test done. But we do have keywords. They're in stock. Actually, we're getting ready to deploy those now. So.
Well, I know there's talking to the teachers, it just seemed to be a certain age group, like more like in the middle school level, that they said that they were more important to that age group.
Yeah, and that's why we worked that into the purchase that we made this summer, because we heard that from the principals, and we knew they needed that. They were trying to get them on their own, and I was working with them to get some other devices, and we had that opportunity, so we took advantage of it. and we have those, we just found.
Is there, can you send out something for updated training and then get a list of all the teachers? Like, just keep a running total so we can go, okay, these teachers have not been taught this, because I would just want to make sure. I know we've had, they had training before, but let's just make sure that we put something out there. Who needs updated training? Okay, good. Sign up. Here's your class. Just so we have, just something out there, just so we know that we can say, hey, everyone's trained on how to do either the Schoology or the Teams or how to do the virtual, so that we don't have any of these issues where they're saying they haven't been trained. So
I
you
may
need to
not
put
have
something out
exactly
there.
what was done in the school, because a lot of times those are train-to-trainer models, and the trainer goes back to the school.
Right.
And they set that up. I probably don't have that, but generally that's, a large group outside of the COVID world, but yeah, I mean, yeah, we can get you what we've done.
Right. I just want something new, so we can put something out there to the teachers saying, if you have not had this training, if you want updated training, if you fully don't understand, sign up and we'll get you these videos or something.
Yeah.
Just so we can say, as a board, we all know that everyone's trained, they're all on the same page. We don't have to guess or worry. So if there's something out there now, then you're getting in the tools, or if they don't have it, we're working on it to make sure everyone's got the quality tools they need. And we can sign off and say, hey, okay, everyone's had the updated training. We put it out there once again. If they haven't got it, and maybe they signed off on it and didn't really pay attention. But now that we're saying, hey, let's do this. So if you could send out, I think that would be beneficial. And there's one more thing before we move on. I know you had talked to the principals and you were asking the teachers. I know I had several teachers contact me and they started doing the video stuff. I had several parents contact me and was like, thank God, this is what I've been waiting for. I've had the teachers who were doing it say this is much easier. They were nervous in the beginning. But then I had some teachers say that other teachers said they were flat out refused to do it.
I haven't heard anybody that's refused to do it,
Well,
so, yeah, that's not,
teachers-
yeah.
When we talk about
That would be,
teachers,
yeah.
that's where,
And I will follow up with what Doug said earlier. Teachers are all, what they do is on a normal, typical day as a teacher, the skill set's a lot different when you say, hey, we're going to go all remote. So somebody that could be fabulous, you know what I mean? And then you say you're going to go full remote. It is a tough thing to do that. So you have to understand that teachers are in different places, and just from talking with Todd, I think our focus needs to be on what's in that classroom and making sure that it's working. When they turn that on, whatever they go to use it, it's going to work and be working for them. So that's something, I mean, if we've got teachers that are, I can't imagine they're flat out refusing. I'm sure if they are, it's probably because they're nervous or they're unsure of how to do it. And I think that could be approached in that way. Like, what do you need to do a video? So we can definitely look at that.
Teachers that some principals are making sure that everyone's submitting their stuff and everything, and then
Right.
other principals are kind of just really relaxed and not checking in to make sure
Okay.
stuff's being sent. So that came from teachers to me. And I know we got some teachers that we have. Our teachers, they do a really good job. They did everything we talked about in the last meetings. There's teachers out there who are working their butts off. They got their heart and soul to it. And then we got some teachers that are just kind of, they're not, we're all tossing to something new, but they're not, they can be doing a better job. And that's where that's where the complaints came in, that still, like, parents are frustrated where, that's where we're throwing out ideas for things that works, because I'm living proof that it works. But and just on another note, like my kids, they were getting virtual teaching, and they loved it. They loved it. It was they did a great job. Law Street's fantastic.
Right.
Can I bring up one other question outside of this? We could talk about this till we're blue in our face, but, I forget who mentioned it. What is the protocol now for kids just not logging in? I spoke with many teachers, and like they said, they have these group meetings and there's only 2 or 3 students. So we can say and do all this all we want, but if kids aren't logging in, even though we gave them all iPads, where does this fall in with truancy and who's, I spoke to teachers that are saying they're spending a lot of their time trying to get these students to log in and find out what's going on. And, so like I said, we could sit here and talk all day, but if the students aren't doing it, what are we gonna do? What's next?
And we're seeing that across the board. You can have a student that was a student and some of them are not
Right.
logging in, and there is a process in place. Usually the teacher attempts to contact them, and they'll make several attempts to contact them, and then the building administrator is to be notified if they're not.
Do we have set how many times? Because we can't have one teacher trying 10 times and another teacher 2. Do we have a set rule on that?
I don't believe so. I think Mr. Kirby said 3 times. I think Mr. Kirby said that he likes to be notified after 3 attempts. Like if they've tried 3 times to reach this student, they're not there, we gotta figure out where they're at. It gets to the principal, they reach out and the pro officer in that building or counselor in that building attempts, and then it gets to our truancy officer.
So does he have enough?
Oh, he visits. Yeah, we've got both of our social workers and him
So
going
we
out.
have enough staff there, not only for the educational, but for the social end of it. Is gonna be fun.
They're making a lot of home visits. I mean, they're visiting the homes with administrators and our social workers
So we do have
to get
enough
out
staff
there.
for that.
He's not, came to me, they are busy. I mean, they have a full schedule
Okay.
to do that, because they've brought in everybody, pro officers, counselors, trying to reach these kids. So, and it's not an easy job. It's very time consuming.
So ultimately, she
well-
still logs in and has 3 students, what goes on?
If it's over a long period of time and we're seeing no interaction, or we can't find that student and they make a home visit, then he will make a report. He'll make a truancy report, and then it gets in the court system, and we've had that happen with that. So, but we also have kids not logging in that are submitting work. That's a whole different thing. They don't log in, they don't make any face-to-face, but they're submitting all their work. So that's a little different. They're completing the work, they're turning it in.
Okay.
So teachers make assessments on that.
Is there anything we do for that? I mean, if they're not,
That's when the classroom teacher would reach out to them, but we still have them completing work and getting grades for
And
that.
I understand that that's working
Yeah.
differently, and I'm saying this so people
Yeah.
understand what I didn't understand, to be honest with you. Since the COVID, I understand, a lot of our students are actually working now. Kind of ironic considering it, but we have a lot of students that are working now that are not home, trying to make ends meet at the household, and aren't there during the school day, and then do their work at night. So these are all factors that I've learned that I didn't know, and they are quite I admire these students, and that's why it's not that you can really go after the kids that aren't logging in. It's important that you find out why, because if it's a student that is not working because dad can't go to work or something, I think that's important, and that is at the teacher's level. I understand that, but so I'm just saying these comments so people know why there are reasons that kids aren't logging in, because, or they're at daycare is another one and things like that. So it's not like shame if you don't log in. It's just that I'm saying if it's repeated and we see where something could be on, because it's not only educational, at that level you're looking at also maybe a social issue that needs to be addressed that we normally would have seen in the school building. So I just wanted to make those statements.
Maybe we can have Mr. Kirby come to the next meeting and give.
Sure,
Yeah.
he usually comes down at the end of every day and gives me an update on home visits that he's made, parents that he's been in contact with, and issues, yeah, he does.
If anything's getting done, Jim's.
Yeah,
doing it.
he's taking care of
the
it.
one last thing, I know, like, it was brought up earlier with that. I mean, with Dr. Fauci and who's saying that kids need to be back in school for 5 days, and they need to be back in school. We got more and more statistics with dealing with kids. All of New York's going back for 5 days. And we're trying to follow the science and the experts' advice. I think as a board, we got to look at okay, these are the experts' advice, and this is what the experts are saying, this is what the science is saying. I think that, especially on the elementary, especially on your special needs kids, where they have to have someone guiding them, like, where, if all of New York and all the science, I mean, I think that we gotta look at this. And they brought up the levy, I think, I mean, I want the levy passed. I wanted it passed, but I think parents are looking at all this, and I think it's a big deal. And so I'm just going, so what are we, if the science and the experts are telling us, what are we doing?
Well, right now, we're at the mercy of the state
it's out of
COVID
our
round.
hands.
I mean, and it's for sure this week and next week's not looking
We'll
good.
be in red. probably.
I believe we'll be in red next week. So that's the next week we will be. And most of the counties around us are right now closed due to the governor's map that we really have no control over. And some counties have closed on their own. I mean, they are in the yellow and they're closing because of high numbers. But right now, Harrison County's closed due to the governor's map. And it most likely will be next week too, according to the numbers that Harrison County is showing right now.
And
So, I
I
mean,
think everybody, I think some
yeah.
people needs to take this to the governor, you know, that's where it starts. So, you know, some of the complaints, you know, I understand and I agree with it. But at the same time, if the governor says you gotta be closed, you gotta be closed.
Yeah.
And so maybe some of all this should be directed directly to him, and then he can communicate to the
But I
counties.
think us as a board, we can also push for that towards the governor. As a board, we can have a letter written, or we can also sign off and say, this is the direction we want to go. Because, again, we're seeing our neighboring, or not, you know, states that are pushing, that are going towards this direction. So I mean, I think a letter from all of us saying this is what we'd like, because again, the experts in the science.
I mean, to that end, I think as an individual board member, write it, because we have 5 differing views here. And I don't think we're going to come up with a letter, but you are an elected board member and you have the right to write that letter. So I want to move down to the approval of consent items.
I make a motion that we approve.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Revisions to policy 1105, school calendar.
I'm gonna get a motion that we approve.
Second, any discussion?
So on this, they're changing the times. What, can you go into a more explanation, what's?
Yeah, Dr. Haig met with the county policy review committee, and there's been a lot of changes to the school calendar. Some have been some updated things on the way we can use days, like these non-traditional days, NT days, that was not in our policy. I think use of some OS days and how you could use those was not in the policy. So we updated the policy to match all the changes that we can do to our school calendar. So she met with her committee again and made those changes. Is there anything else, Donna?
That's it.
And we'd like to put that out for 30-day comment.
Okay, so the motion is to put it out, and motion and the second to put it out for a 30-day comment. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Personnel matters.
I make a motion to approve the personnel.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Personnel matters, any discussion?
I believe there was one where you, there was a position where,
Moving into the
yeah.
Finance office.
The executive secretary
Yeah,
/
clarify.
accountant, there was a question about that.
It's not in the finance.
That position was Marcia Farkashowski that resigned, and she's in the curriculum department.
Okay.
That's the only secretary or clerical person we have in that department, so.
And all of
We
our
replaced it.
secretaries, remember, are called accountants,
Right.
because they may have an opportunity.
And
Most of them
In
are.
the
We have a
school.
few that are not, but most of them are, and if they handle anything with payroll.
I know we had talked about putting it on hold her position, but you feel like it's come to a point that it's a necessity, we go ahead.
We did, after I actually had a list of all the duties that this person performed.
Okay.
And it was going to put a lot of duties over on other offices that were not, able to absorb all those. So it is a large department, so.
We're not actually, just for clarification.
So it's not a new
It's-
position?
No, it's not a new position. It was a position that was vacant that we're filling,
Okay,
yes.
we don't have anyone in our media, like a media person resigned. Do we have anyone else?
And not right at this moment.
As I posted it.
Yeah, I had spoken to Mr. Hamrick about that, and you'll be getting a revised job description for that. Yes, to post.
All right, it's been
January.
moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Job description for Project Aware, Community Manager.
All right. This, if you remember, probably a month ago, we said that I informed you that we received a grant there were 3 counties. It was Clay County, us, and, I was gonna say Huntington, Cabell County received this grant, and we had our first initial meeting and an introduction for this, and it's a huge deal. I had no idea the big, how large this was for us to receive this. And it's really to extend mental health in the schools, which is something that you guys have dealt with as a board, listening to our employees and all the things that we've already implemented into the schools. So this actually is a job description, and it's really the point, folks on this will be Lola and Julie Mancini, because it's partially funded through, it's Department of Ed, like special education. It's a federal grant, so it's going to fall under Lola. But this project manager will be housed here. It's a 5-year position paid for by them through this grant. And they will oversee 3 mental health specialists in the schools, full-time positions in the schools. So, and the schools, we're looking at the schools right now that those positions will be placed in. So it's a huge thing for us. And it's really going to be an advantage for us as far as, and as we said, and Julie and Lola and I and Dawn all agree, this has to be rolled out correctly and done correctly, because this can be great for our buildings.
Is this a timeline on this? Is it
Well, the first piece of it, there was a sharp turnaround on getting this person in place to manage it. So that's why we went ahead and ran this job description, because it has to be in place, I believe, Lola, by December 29th or something. So that's the first piece of it. Then we're actually bringing providers in. They have to be billable providers that can hire these mental health specialists and be willing to work with us. So we're going to actually bring in our providers from the county and go from there, instead of just picking initially you think of community care or Summit Center. But we're going to we have other providers that we're going to bring in and see if they're willing to.
These LPCs are licensed professional counselors, licensed social workers?
The school-based ones?
Yeah, the ones that you're going to end up hiring.
Yeah, there's a job description. They actually provided job descriptions for each of those.
Okay, so those will come later.
Those will come, yeah.
Well,
Keep you
we,
informed.
Yeah, the goal is to get this in place, meet with the schools that'll be involved, and then we'll be looking at hiring the agency or working with the agency to.
now, will we as a board be aware of, will we have to vote on who becomes the director,
Well, this one will come, this will be placed on the agenda, this project manager will be on an
It'll bid
agenda.
out, and then we'll
Yes.
fill that, and then
And then,
they'll pick-
yeah, then
they'll-
you can bring that up. She has a breakdown
go.
that they sent us for Project Aware.
Well,
It's
they wouldn't-
really
they-
exciting.
These won't be, they won't be employees, the actual providers won't be employees, we're billing under their number for
Right.
Medicaid.
Yeah, we're hoping that the provider, and it may be several
Yeah, oh,
providers,
it will be.
that will hire.
This is actually the organizational chart of this grant that was written by the State Department, so that you can kind of see.
And the goal is to sustain this too. Like, after 5 years, we're hoping that these guys are embedded in our schools and really providing the support that we need, and we can continue that.
So,
But
as a
yeah.
part of this grant, you can see that they have different entities at the state level to help provide support. But then the dark blue circles are our counties. And so each county will hire this project manager to oversee each of those school-based mental health professionals, coordinate the grant, help the schools develop their action plans, and also be responsible for collecting the data and the evaluation pieces that are part of this grant, because it's a SAMHSA funded grant, and so there is a lot of data collection required with that, and so that's the role of this project manager. But so that, this way kind of gives you a visual of the support provided through this grant.
So they will be full-time in those buildings.
Yeah, the school-based.
Yeah, the school-based will be
Yes.
full-time.
All right. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Then seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Board member comments. Mr. Dodd.
Just what was brought up, like, I think, by Doug, parents need to call the governor. You need to tell them where you stand on this. So we definitely need test transparency, because we know from the data 90% of them are false positives. And that's not from me, that's from Dr. Fauci saying that anything of 35 cycles is a false positive, and the majority of the tests, when you look at them, they all cycle up to 40 to 47. So make sure you contact the governor, tell them that you want test transparency. We wouldn't see all these false positives if we had test transparency. And tell the governor that we should be the same as New York. So let's get these kids back in school, because our hands are tied, the governor ties them. So be loud.
Ms. Messenger.
I made all my comments, but probably the most important one is to apologize and restate that at the last board meeting, there was never anything belittling or not giving teachers credit at all. I think, and now I've spoken with enough of them that they understand, it was truly to help teachers because of lack of communication. We weren't aware of what was actually going on. It was never to down a teacher, because they're everything in our county. And there has never been a time when I've ever seen any board member, since I've been in office, not care or support our teachers. And it was really shocking to me, the comments that I got after like 6 years of doing everything for our teachers, to even think that they would think I was personally downing them. But it was definitely a lack of communication, and on efforts on both sides, mine and groups of teachers, we both learned from each other, and it was very rewarding. What was it, to know what was going on.
Mr. Hope.
Well, only comment I have is I really feel sorry for the student athletes at Robert C. Byrd and at Bridgeport, being denied the right to play for, a state championship. They fall, these kids are something that they worked for all the years, and they was able to, get them to a point where they was to play for it. And then that was taken away from them by the governor's map and by, the decision of the WVSSAC. And, it's something that they'll never get back, but it'll be something that will, things that hurt you also make you stronger. And I think that these athletes will be stronger for it in the road to life. That they'll be able to tell their kids and grandkids 20 years from now, what happened to them. So, it's one of those bumps in the road, and they will get over, eventually. But I just feel sorry that they never got a right, the ability to represent Harrison County, because they worked so hard. So that's all I have.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot. I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank the teachers, and I want to thank the parents, and I want to thank the students for doing everything that they can do in this particular time that we're in. It's not easy. It's hard. It's daggone hard. And I want us to be able to get in the boat and row together. That's the biggest thing. And I don't feel like we're rowing in the same direction right now. So I'd like to say that I'm open to row in that direction with you guys. And I'm open to row in the same direction as the parents, because we're not going to figure anything out if we fight, if we argue, if we don't have grace for one another's opinions and don't have respect for one another's voice. And I think one of the things we as a board and as a central office staff need to get back to is a saying that we used to say in the very beginning when we all started here, was say yes when you can, say no when you have to. That's the biggest thing for me. We need to do what we can to say yes. If we go down the wrong path by saying yes, good news is we can identify it and retrench and move in a different direction. That's what I want to say. I don't want to hear us to say no in these times. I want to hear that we allocate resources, that we do the right thing with the resources, that we support the people that need supported, that we listen to the people that have a voice to say something, and that we're able to work together as a group and as a community in order to do what we can do to educate and protect and serve our students and our teachers and our families. That's all I have.
And mine's just quick on resource allocations. We do budgets. That's one of our main functions is the budget of the county. We have a large budget. We do budgets based on a normal year. This isn't a normal year. So if we have to take money from what we normally used to do and move it to something more urgent, I think we just need to move with some more expediency on equipment and things of that nature. We'll move it to wherever, just bring it to us, and we'll move it, because we'll worry about a normal. We're halfway through the budget year and it's still not a normal year. So budgets are made for normal years. This isn't normal. So if we have to move money from a place that it is, in the short term, then we can do that. So, and I think everyone here would agree. If there's something to make this go smoother, then I'm all for it. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Mr. Hoag?
Children of peace, go in peace.
They already cut your mic off. It is what it is.